Put a sock in it. Uh-oh.
2011 has already seen a flurry of great games and amazing sequels, and there are still more waiting in the wings for their chance to shine. Amidst the holiday mayhem, yet another throwback shooter graces us with its presence. That game is none other than Serious Sam 3. Sam and his franchise have a long and pleasant history in the shooter industry, especially when you consider the kind of impact the first game's ultra-paced and ultra-massive monster fights had on the genre. Sadly, Serious Sam 3 is completely lacking in the innovations department. The game features the same simple formula that kept gamers twitching their way to victory back in 2001. And while it still manages to entertain to some degree, it's nowhere near as impressive or as fun as it used to be. Starting with the basics, which are very basic, Serious Sam 3 operates on Crow Team's tried and true method of shoot, run backwards, and shoot some more. One of the most impressive things about the Serious Sam franchise has always been the game's engine, which allows an enormous amount of NPCs to seamlessly generate on-screen at once. Serious Sam 3 is no exception to this standard. The visuals aren't cutting edge, but they're very good, and the sheer amount of enemies running towards Sam is sometimes jaw-dropping. The massive battles that result from literally hundreds of stampeding NPCs on screen can be very exciting, and they make up the core action of the game. The only problem is, that's it. Serious Sam 3 is undoubtedly the simplest shooter to debut this year, and with so many other great choices available this holiday season, the game fails to hold its own. One of the game's few redeeming qualities is the amount of content Crow Team managed to squeeze into the package. Out of the box, Serious Sam 3 comes with a campaign and several multiplayer modes, including competitive games and cooperative play. Unfortunately, each of the game's modes ultimately fails to differentiate itself from the others, and they all inevitably rely on the same basic game mechanic. There's a serious lack of variety throughout the experience, and this shortcoming can easily be spotted after just a few hours in the game. The campaign includes 12 missions, but the only thing that changes from level to level is the scenery, and even that doesn't change much. Sam's enemies are numerous, and each enemy type includes a unique instant kill melee option for Sam to perform, but even the variety of enemies and kill styles blurs as the game progresses. One of Serious Sam 3's greatest flaws is that instead of intriguing the player with interesting or challenging scenarios, in order to make things more difficult, it simply throws more enemies into the mix. There are a few small examples where the campaign will have you solve a puzzle or collect gas cans to start a car, but even these instances are shallow and rely heavily on wave after wave of enemies to keep the action going. It can be an adrenaline rush at first, but after a short while it becomes repetitive. On top of that, the narrative and humor that the series is known for is nowhere near enough to keep you invested in this adventure. Cheesy dialogue, poor voice acting, and a tired story coupled with repetitive action result in one of the weakest campaigns of the year. If the campaign isn't your thing, and it almost certainly won't be, Serious Sam 3's multiplayer and cooperative modes might improve your opinion of the game. Cooperative play, without a doubt, is the one area of the game in which the developers got everything right. In co-op, you can jump into the campaign with up to 16 other players and blast baddies all day long. If it doesn't sound like much more than the campaign, that's because it isn't. But playing with others, blasting your way through the alien horde, and leaderboard scoring make it a more enjoyable experience. This is arguably the most impressive aspect of Serious Sam 3. Having a 16-player co-op mode up and running without a hitch on launch is certainly worth noting, and what's more, it's probably the most fun you'll have playing the game. There's also some fun to be had in the multiplayer arena, especially if reliving the glory days of Quake and other fast-paced online shooters is your thing. This is where Serious Sam 3's simple game mechanic is put to use killing something other than AI, and the nostalgia in the virtual air is almost palpable. There's no leveling up to be found here, no perks or unlocks to get, just pure, unadulterated combat at breakneck speed. It's the simplest multiplayer in any shooter on the market today, and it will be enjoyed by a handful of old-school gamers, but against the titans of today's online competitive multiplayer scene, it does little to impress. Furthermore, there are only 4 maps to play most of the game's 8 multiplayer modes on, and after a while, just like the core action, the scenery and locales get repetitive. Serious Sam 3 sticks to the series' roots. Sadly, those roots are in desperate need of water, and a lack of innovation doesn't make a good throwback shooter. The end result is a game that, while undoubtedly nostalgic for some, doesn't stand up in today's shooter market. Other than the small amount of entertainment that can be gleaned from the competitive and cooperative multiplayer modes, Serious Sam 3 offers nothing of real value. It's a tired rehash of old standards that series veterans might consider checking out once it hits bargain bins, but if you're looking for a fun, rewarding experience, look elsewhere. Thanks for watching this review. If you liked it, be sure to like and subscribe, shoot us a comment, and of course, check out our community at www.intensegamingtv.com.